Speakers before the break into another mode of transport. I welcome Franz Hammerschmid from Federal Railways and the Infrastructure Group, and he's the head of strategic planning. Franz, you will tell us something about the suburban railway lines and also reconstructing and improving by digital means. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much. I have the honor to be the last one before lunchtime, so I try to be quick, so your stomach is not hurting anymore. Yes, the U1 is closed since yesterday because a rail traffic and the fire was in the tunnel, and in the morning I heard at the radio the people should use the S-Bahn, and that's why we have it, and that's why it's here. And it's a very important traffic line in Vienna, and we want to make it fit for the next 100-150 years. So I tried if it's working. Yes, it's working. The eastern region of Austria is a fast-growing region. Vienna, the city of the state, increases up to 2 million people last year. It was 5 years earlier than it was prospected, and the whole region is about 3.5 million people living here. And of course there is a lot of traffic on the streets, and there's a lot of traffic on the railways. People want to be connected between the place they're living and the place they're working or going to school or whatever. And we need to have more efficient transport systems on the railway, and also to be punctual and reliable, and that the people like it to use it and not must have to use it. And that's the reason why we upgrade this S-Bahn line, who is going through the whole city from north to south, because it's getting, in their ages, it was getting older. It was built in the 60s, in the 1960s, and after 50 years, a railway track needs a refreshment. And now we're going to start this with last summer, and in the next years there's a lot more to come. It's 170 kilometers of railway network around Vienna. We had a lot of platforms we need to extend because longer trains are coming. Longer trains means more people, so that's an opportunity not to have more trains, but in one train more people. We have 40 kilometers of new tracks, completely new tracks, and also the catenary areas will be renewed. That's where we get our power off. And we have, of course, holding sidings in the backyards where the trains are parked through the night, or where can they interchange between lines or whatever. And of course, the implementation of this ITS level 2, the digital transformation, not with signals anymore, and not the old systems from the 60s and 70s. That brings more safety, and it brings more trains because they can go in closer ways on their tracks. We renew also buildings around the stations. We have not only the tracks in our focus, also the buildings around where the people can switch between streets and the railway. And we have a lot of sidings, as I told before, that where the system can work probably better than it can nowadays. This digital control system allows us to go trains for every 2.5 minutes. Today it's 3.5 minutes, so we can put more trains on it in an absolute number, from 700 trains to 900 trains a day. So more people and more opportunities to get to work or to get to school or to get wherever they want in the city. And that's also why this line has this pink color. It's one of the main opportunities in Vienna to use it, like the underground lines. They also have colors, and we use the pink for it. And it's in the city like an underground system. This train control system allows more trains on the same track, so it's improvement by digitalization without building new tracks. and it's working over the air for not technical people like me, but it allows us more trains, and it's a good investment, not to build new tracks and not more concrete, but with digitalization to have more trains on the track. So I get one further. We also extend the platforms to 220 meters that allow us to have trains with 3 parts. So we have really long trains then with more than 1,000 people per train, possible capacity. And we have more space, so we hope that it's also not always too busy and too full in the morning, that people also get a place to sit when they come from outside of Vienna into the city. The system was a success story. It started in 1962 when there was the decision to make this line an S-Bahn line, and very high frequently and very intensive line. And nowadays, as I mentioned before, we have to upgrade it. This main core is 13 kilometers long. It has 10 stops. There are 250,000 travelers a day. That's the same number that the U3 has in Vienna, the strongest underground line of the city of Vienna. So it's comparable with the travelers by workday. There are 700 trains a day today, and we want to go up to 900 a day. And that's the busiest track we have in our railway system all over Austria. I'm almost finished already. Here on this slide you see all the stations that will be renewed, and what we do with these little icons on the left side. There's a lot of work in the next years. Maybe 2 more sentences to the history of this project. We started in 2020 with all our partners, especially also ASFINAG and the city of Vienna, to have this construction site free of other construction sites in the city, because we are closing this track next 2026 from summer to 2027 end of year, so 1.5 years this track will be completely closed. And our partners in ASFINAG and City of Vienna and Wiener Linien helped us to make other construction sites out of this window time. So we can do it the best way, that the people in the city have the possibility to move on, to get on car or on bus or on tracks. So this was the big success of this project when we started a few years ago, that all the stakeholders were sitting on a table, working together and say, yes, we want to do it like this. It's important for the city. It's important for the public transport in the eastern region. And we made it today or yesterday and for tomorrow and for all of us, because it's public transport is not a question of one person. So thank you very much, and appreciate the questions of Martin.
As always. So in total, I think what you described, so the final aim is you increase the capacity then by, in the end, with regard to the passengers, by plus 50% almost. I think it's, but the timing on your last slide that you showed, okay, during this process, especially maybe this 1.5 year, so like we've heard from Martin Müllner before, so of course there will be then a kind of an information campaign to guide all the people across the city, because you mentioned this is one of the most important lines we have crossing the city. Yeah? So any specific plans already on how to do this?
Maybe have the slides again. Is it possible? Because I have one more slide that answers your question, or it helps you to answer. We started this summer,
okay.
2024. That's the second one. And we closed it for 2 months, and there we have to learn a lot about behavior of the people. We know a lot of the behavior of the people, but we learned it especially here. And we had to adjust a little bit last summer. Next year, in 2025, we have the next stage, also 2 months completely closed, and we took the learnings from this year of communication to the people who use it, and of the public, of the media, of the politicians, whoever is engaged. And Then we have the really tough years from 2026, from July to 27 to December, when it's completely closed. And when it's like the U2 at the moment in Vienna, it's not the music group, it's an underground line, is closed for more than 2 years now, that people don't forget it, and when we reopen it again, that they know that this also is a very important track. So that's what we're learning at the moment. That's what we're working every year, new ideas. We have some new ideas for next year for the people. I don't want to tell you now because everyone should know it, not only you. So we will announce it in springtime next year. So we're working on to bring new ideas for people having opportunities when it's closed.
Thank you. But I think it's really important, I think, that to be on the one hand resilient and of course also to run all these major construction works that are needed, that digital is a very important ingredient. And I think it's then also not just communicating then maybe to your public transport customers, because you've mentioned ASFINAG, then it's also about the road transport users that you need to inform that there will be maybe coming some others that will also share with you the major infrastructure of ASFINAG. So I think it's what I think about then, of course, how far are you going in that thinking with regard to aligning certain digital services? Because it's more on demand, it's shared mobility, it's of course sharing certain rights or just avoiding certain times and areas of the city. So also working then maybe with big employers and to address their commuting maybe. So how far are you going in that plans?
Of course, a lot of digital nerds things we are going to do, but maybe one example, because Martin told it from the ASFINAG with the Tauern tunnels. This Monday, so 2 days ago, we closed the train tunnel over the town for 11 months. Oh, sorry, for 9 months. And some people from Carinthia, from your home, go to Salzburg because they're working there in different hotels or whatever. And now, before they closed the tunnel, they used it every day for getting home. And now, if they want to getting home, they need 3 hours instead of 20 minutes. So it's not an opportunity. So the hotels reacted 1 year ago and said, okay, well, if the people work for us 4 or 5 days, of course they sleep here in the hotel, not as guests, as workers, and they have to be traveling for 1 week out of home and being in the hotel, working there, and after a week they're going back home. So also the companies in the region, if they know it very early enough, if they know the necessity, because this infrastructure is to repair, it is not a question of fun, it's a necessity. They help us to find solutions that in the beginning of the discussion was not possible to think about it. So it also works, and it started 3 days ago, and it's smooth, it's fine, and everybody knows what's going on, and everybody tries to help to make the best of it, because it's not the infrastructure of ÖBB, it's the infrastructure of all of us.
Okay. I think this is a super great example on cross-sector collaboration and widening the horizon with regard to the partners you need to engage in such a project. Yeah? And with that, Franz, many thanks. And now it's time to engage for all of you with the lunch and the break and all the needed and important discussions and talks you might want to have. I will